Part 15. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Chi Wen. Chapter 142. Wang Shuo jumped on his horse and rushed into the Gobi Desert first. Ayub led all the combatants and followed Wang Shuo, disappearing into the distance. On the way, Wang Shuo thought for a moment and asked Ayub, "Have you used your legion order?" "My lord, I haven't used it yet." "I hope you can give me a name for the first cavalry unit in the territory." Wang Shuo thought about it and realized that he needed to name his own unit. But what name should he give it? After thinking for a while, Wang Shuo's eyes lit up and he had an idea. "Let's call it Golden Fire Cavalry," Wang Shuo said excitedly. Later, Wang Shuo planned to put golden equipment on everyone in the cavalry unit, including the war horses, and all of them would be covered in heavy armor. Wang Shuo became more and more excited as he thought about it, and couldn't help dancing with joy. "Yes, let's do it. I must build an invincible heavy cavalry. Wherever I go, the enemy will be terrified. Yes, Lord. I will live up to your trust and build an iron-blooded army for you." Ayub used the Legion order to establish the Golden Fire Cavalry Legion, which currently has 21 people. Wang Shuo checked the attributes of the cavalry unit established using the Legion order. Golden Fire Cavalry Legion, long-range block add 20%, speed add 20%, attack speed and movement speed, morale add 20%. Very good, very powerful. Wang Shuo did not let the members of the original cavalry team join the Golden Fire Cavalry, but made other arrangements. Everyone envied the militia team that followed the large army, but no one questioned Wang Shuo's decision. For the bronze boss of about level 20, Wang Shuo's team can be said to have pushed it directly with a speed that was as fast as a rotten wood. There was not even a seriously injured soldier. After killing 5 high-level bronze bosses and clearing the skeleton soldiers encountered on the way, Wang Shuo earned another 10,000 merit points. As the sky gradually darkened, Wang Shuo exchanged 2 kinds of talisman paper, handed them to Ayub, and then led everyone back to Wana village. After a day of construction, Wana village has undergone tremendous changes again. As night fell, the lights came on. Wang Shuo then discovered that street lights had been installed on the road from the portal to the Lord's mansion. "Oh my god, it's too modern. Is the energy used by this thing obtained by converting energy crystals through energy converters?" Wang Shuo stood on the newly built road and saw Duan Wengzi running over. "Boss, you are wise." Duan Wengzi smiled and walked over to walk with Wang Shuo. "All the energy consumption in our territory is provided by that magical energy converter." Duan Wengzi's voice suddenly became smaller, and he said with some trepidation, "It's just that the energy consumption is a bit high. We need 100 energy crystals every day to maintain various consumption." After becoming the chief steward of the territory, Duan Wengzi has the authority to add energy crystals to the core of the territory. In the past few days, he has calculated that if Wana village is initially built, it will consume at least 300 energy crystals every day. After hearing this, Wang Shuo suddenly said, "Pay attention to energy conservation and emission reduction, and use clean energy. It is guaranteed to be clean energy, the kind that does not pollute at all." Duan Wengzi heard that Wang Shuo did not have any abnormal reaction, but instead joked with him, and he felt relieved. The whole person seemed more confident. In this Wana village, he also has a little say, he couldn't help but think so, and his heart was full of joy. Walking to the center of the village, I found that the blacksmith shop, carpentry workshop, and other buildings had been built, just over 100 meters away from the Lord's mansion, and some houses were still being built on the open space next to the Lord's mansion. After Wang Shuo asked Duan Wengzi, he knew that this was the residence built for the core personnel of the territory, such as Ayub and Duan Wengzi. Wang Shuo was very satisfied with this and would never treat his men badly. After dinner, Wang Shuo returned to the bedroom and began to study the North Sea Empire text records. This thing must be polished with time. Wang Shuo plans to take some time every night to study. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 143. The next day, Wang Shuo did not follow Ayub to earn military merit points. Because the city wall must be built today, Hadro should send him bricks for the city wall this morning. Walking on the newly built main street, all the construction sites are busy. As the loyalty has increased, everyone works very hard. Wang Shuo walked to the door of the woodworking workshop and saw 4 or 5 people inside, tinkering with some wood. Who is in charge here? Wang Shuo walked in and walked around a pedestal. Lord, why are you here? The surrounding people looked up at Wang Shuo, and a thinly dressed strong man came over and wiped the sweat from his forehead. This person was Su Minzong, the person in charge of the woodworking workshop. The huge room was filled with the smell of wood dust and the noisy sound of sawing wood. Well, just take a look. Are you making a catapult? Seeing that the others did not wear any protective gear to protect their mouths and noses, Wang Shuo couldn't cover his mouth and nose, so he had to bite the bullet and raise his voice. Yes, Lord, the technology of the catapult is very complicated. We haven't fully studied it yet. We can only try it first. Mr. Mutar will come over later and study with us. Okay, study it well. Wana village will not forget your efforts. Wang Shuo nodded to Su Minzong and said affirmatively. Yes, Lord. After Wang Shuo left the carpentry workshop, he thought that the treatment of the people in the territory should be solved as soon as possible. At this time, Xiao Liatang found Wang Shuo and asked when the masons would learn to draw defensive runes. Wang Shuo saw the anxious look on his face and smiled knowingly. He said calmly, Master Architect, don't worry, you see, there are still big gaps in our city wall bricks now. We must hurry up to make them. In addition, it takes time to build the wall, so I can help build the wall. I'm just waiting for you to say this. The construction speed of an intermediate architect is totally incomparable to that of a low-level bricklayer. Thank you very much, Wang Shuo smiled. Someone will send a batch of wall bricks later. When the time comes, I will trouble the architect. Xiao Liatang was shocked. This lord is really capable. As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Shuo felt the movement of Hadro teleporting. In Wang Shuo's territory, anyone who does not belong to Wana village will be prompted when entering the village. Moreover, Wang Shuo has given Hadro the permission to teleport. He only needs to connect to Wang Shuo's portal address and get his permission. Excuse me. After Wang Shuo finished speaking, he walked towards the portal. The moment he saw Hadro, Wang Shuo felt relieved. Now his black iron wall finally has the hope of being completed today. Lord, sir, after I went back, I immediately went around to buy things, and finally, I got them all together. Hadro was out of breath, looking out of breath. Thank you for your hard work. Let's go, have some tea first. Wang Shuo led Hadro to the Lord's mansion. Hadro drank a sip of tea, took a break, and directly took out a few backpacks and handed them to Wang Shuo. Wang Shuo checked them and showed a satisfied look. Not bad. Wang Shuo laughed and directly handed the energy crystal to the other party. Black iron level wall bricks add 30W, energy crystals minus 24,000. After getting the bricks, Wang Shuo quickly asked someone to hand them over to Yan Fuja and asked him to find Xiao Liatang to be responsible for the construction. He didn't dare to refuse the things that had been agreed before. After all, he still had more than 100,000 gold coins that had not been delivered to him. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 144. Lord City Lord, I wonder if there is anything else you need to buy next. Hadro did not leave immediately. Now Wang Shuo's purchasing potential can be further stimulated. Wang Shuo thought for a while. Is there any more of the thunder that shook the sky last time? Wang Shuo showed a longing look in his eyes. Sorry, there are none for the time being. Hadro shrugged, then he seemed to remember something, took out a drawing, smiled and said, but I also have a drawing of passing a Yangbao with 100 steps here. The biggest feature of this strong bow is that it uses simple materials and is slightly more powerful than an ordinary sophisticated longbow. 100 steps penetrating Yangbao, excellent level weapon, attack power at 30, agility at 8, durability 80/80ths, a common standard weapon in the army. Wang Shuo looked at the attributes and found that they were indeed much stronger than ordinary bows and arrows. He nodded, showed a smile and said, not bad, I want this thing. This thing was not too precious at the moment, so Wang Shuo bought it for only 1,000 gold coins. Because Hadro arrived in a hurry, he did not prepare other good things. After the two agreed on the items they wanted to trade next time, Hadro left Wang Shuo's territory. Wang Shuo found Mutar and handed him the drawing. Mr. Mutar, after you finish the work at hand, you can make more hard bows like this, Wang Shuo warned, and when he saw the busy figures of the blacksmiths, Wang Shuo showed curiosity. After seeing Wang Shuo's expression, Mutar explained, Lord, some of us are working hard to make bronze ballistas, and some of us are studying accessories for light catapults. Have you made any progress? Wang Shuo knelt down and touched a black thing with his hand. Mutar called a craftsman over and said to Wang Shuo, Lord, this is a new and proud disciple I have recently acquired, named Udon. Next, let him introduce the situation to you. Meet the Lord. Udon solemnly saluted Wang Shuo. Wang Shuo raised his head and looked at the young man. His eyes were alert. The cotton-padded jacket on his body was unbuttoned, and his hands were covered with calluses. On one of his hands, there was an obvious wound that had not healed yet. It was obviously a recent injury. Udon took a deep breath, adjusted his breathing, and explained to Wang Shuo, we have achieved a lot in the past 2 days. The metal accessories of trebuchets are not used much. We can basically make them. We are currently studying the ammunition used by trebuchets, because this ammunition is not stones, but projectiles with special materials such as saltpeter added. After you go there will be an explosion, and the damage will be amazing. Wang Shuo's eyes were filled with surprise and uncertainty. An explosion could actually occur. This. Very nice. Where did your saltpeter come from? Wang Shuo didn't remember that he had this thing. My master asked for this from General Manager Duan. General Manager Duan gave me some from the previously seized materials, but the quantity was a little small, so there were not many projectiles that could be produced. When Wang Shuo heard this, he shouted in his heart, this is not possible, the more of this kind of thing, the better. Don't worry, I'll find a solution for the saltpeter. Wang Shuo patted Udon on the shoulder and gave him reassurance. Udon's eyes sparkled with surprise, and it was obvious that he liked this kind of research very much. After Wang Shuo walked out of the blacksmith shop, he was thoughtful. Hadro has already left, and it seems that we can only wait until the next time he comes. Or you can go to Lao Zhao's to have a look, or go to Nanshan Market to buy. There are quite a lot of options to choose from. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 145. Then, Wang Shuo came to the place where the city wall was built. At this time, Yan Fujia and Xiao Liateng were busy on the city wall with a dozen masons. It can be seen that Xiao Liateng is speeding up the work. From time to time, he would scold the slow masons. The reason why he was so anxious was that they had to build the city wall before they could learn to draw defense symbols from him. Complete the agreement with Wang Shuo. And the longer it takes to complete, the less cost-effective it will be for him. Because he teleported here and completed the task, he had to pay a fee to the craftsman organization that asked him to do the task. His fee was calculated by the hour, and the craftsman organization also charged by the hour. Therefore, the sooner he returned, the more he earned. Anyway, he and Wang Shuo were talking about a package price. "Mr. Architect, do you want to have a cup of tea and take a rest?" Wang Shuo saw that with the current progress, the construction period would definitely be completed before dusk, and he couldn't help but joked. Xiao Liateng gave Wang Shuo a resentful look. How could he not understand that this was clearly Wang Shuo's doing, deliberately not letting these bricklayers learn to draw defensive runes from him first? "Don't worry, Lord, I'm still very strong," he kept working and replied in a stiff tone. Wang Shuo laughed and ignored him. At this time, Suo Yang ran over and reported to Wang Shuo about the recent changes in the territory. "Lord, our craftsman camp has built a total of 3 residential buildings in the past few days, which can provide accommodation for 120 people. I heard from Du and Wengzi that there are new refugees coming every day, right?" "Yes, so we are still building new residential buildings. At the current growth rate, our village will soon reach 200 people. Wang Shuo learned from the village head group that most of the villages have more than 200 people, and many have already synthesized silver village building orders. Wang Shuo felt a sense of loss in his heart. These crises one after another made it difficult for him to find time to collect population on a large scale, which was really uncomfortable. "There is no other way, we have to wait until we have dealt with the bandits." At this time, Suo Yang continued, "In addition, the current buildings in the territory include the Lord's Mansion, village-level administrative center, blacksmith shop, tailor shop, carpentry workshop, and central square." Wang Shuo thought about it, and he had seen most of these buildings. There are very few buildings, and you can see them all at a glance. Seeing these sparse buildings, Wang Shuo pondered for a while, thinking of the private ownership system that will be implemented soon. Wang Shuo pondered. "You have to speed up the time to build houses, and make sure that everyone has a place to live. It is only a stopgap measure for new refugees to live in tents. Also, build a canteen and public toilets as soon as possible, and then build a grocery store." Thinking that they have been living on their old capital and have no new food sources, this may also become a hidden danger. Wang Shuo continued, "The reclamation of farmland and the construction of breeding farms, these 2 things must be implemented as soon as possible. Also, 20 arrow towers and 20 energy towers must be built tomorrow morning." "Lord, I am just the manager of the craftsman camp." Suo Yang hesitated, showing a constipated expression. "Is this a desire for promotion?" Wang Shuo looked at Suo Yang meaningfully, and said with a smile, "Suo Yang, you see, the territory is still in its infancy, there are not so many red tapes, you are all the initial contributors to the territory, and you will definitely not be treated unfairly in the future." Suo Yang's pupils widened when he heard it, and he hurriedly explained, "Lord, I don't mean that, I mean, I am also forced to do it, I have no experience in this area. The main thing is that I can't take care of so many things by myself," he blushed and said hurriedly. "So that's it?" Wang Shuo thought it was a big deal. "Thanks for the gifts from these book friends, Ning Aijin, who loves winter bamboo shoot stewed with meat, Xiao Er, the landlord Lao Ki, and the arrogant Moyun Palace Master. Dear book friends, if you have the conditions, after reading, please click on the reminder to update, and then give the author a free generate power for love. As long as 100 people click on the gift, there will be fans to help. I am very grateful. Writing a book is not easy, but I ask for support. Lord Survival, my shelter in Crocodile territory." Author, Chi Wen. Chapter 146. Suo Yang, you should learn from Duan Wengzi on this point. Do you think he is in charge of too few things now? Suo Yang thought for a while, much more than himself. Look, for the registration of new refugees, did he find someone to work part-time? So, you must also learn to find some helpers. Suo Yang suddenly realized it, his face showed a hint of joy, and he said in surprise, my subordinate has realized it. Go to work. Yes, Lord Suo Yang thought about Wang Shuo's words as he walked, and almost fell down on the way. Wang Shuo shook his head. At 5:30 p.m., Wang Shuo finally heard the system prompt he wanted. The construction of the Black Iron City Wall in Wana Village, your territory, has been completed. Wang Shuo quickly ran to the city wall and inspected it carefully. The city wall is 10 meters high and about 5 meters wide. The middle of the city wall is filled with rammed earth. Follow the horse path and walk up to the city wall. Above the city gate is a 2-story archery tower where archers can be stationed. Every few dozen meters, there is a horse face protruding outward. On the wide platform, heavy weapons such as crossbows and bed crossbows can be placed, causing huge damage to the enemies attacking the city. With the blessing of hundreds of accelerating talismans, it took only 2 days to build the city wall, which made Wang Shuo very satisfied. Wang Shuo found a battlement and squatted under it, hiding like a naughty child. At this time, Yan Fujia and others came over and were confused when they saw Wang Shuo's inexplicable behavior. Wang Shuo stood up awkwardly, coughed slightly, and said loudly, "Thank you for your hard work, everyone. You have done a good job. After blocking the bandits, we will reward you based on your merits." When everyone heard that there was actually a reward, they all cheered. Since they were forced to join the village, they have gone from being forced labor to having a sense of identity with the village and actively participating in construction. They have never expected any rewards. Wang Shuo suddenly said this and felt very happy in his heart. Wang Shuo saw Xiao Liateng wanted to speak and said first, "Everyone has worked hard today. Let's have a rest first and prepare to deal with the bandits tomorrow." After saying that, he slipped away. Only Xiao Liateng was left messy in the wind. At night, after Ayub and others returned, Wang Shuo summoned all the managers to hold a meeting. All members of the Swift Scout team, plus Duan Wengzi, Suo Yang, Su Mingzhong, Mutar, and others, came to the meeting hall. "Everyone, as the territory develops, I have some new ideas." Wang Shuo glanced at everyone, and everyone listened carefully. "We roughly confiscated supplies from the previously recruited residents. This method is not suitable for subsequent refugees. So, I decided to give some compensation to the previous subjects. Each person should be compensated 2,000 gold coins. During this period, many people have made great contributions to the territory. I also decided to provide some materials as rewards, including skills, gold coins, and some equipment." Wang Shuo looked at Duan Wengzi and then said, "Wengzi, you come and draw up a list, and we will finalize it together. In addition, I plan to divide the household registration in the territory into 3 types, one is military registration, one is civil registration, and one is craftsman registration. For military and craftsmen, we will pay them monthly wages and include food and accommodation. For nationality, there are no such benefits. This is both a reward and an incentive. Anyone who has participated in the village defense battle will join the military or craftsmanship. Build a canteen. From tomorrow, you will have to pay for meals. Military and craftsmanships will be deducted from wages. Build a grocery store and allow citizens to buy supplies by themselves. At the same time, open a channel for the exchange of resources with the heart of the sanctuary. We need citizens. They have the heart of shelter in their hands, but they have to exchange it with resources if they wish. Also, our residential buildings are no longer free to use, but rent is required. Duan Wengzi is responsible for the specific matters. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Chi Wen. Chapter 147. Wang Shuo promulgated a long series of decrees, and the people in the cavalry team didn't care. Anyway, they were raised by the Lord. They didn't need to worry about food, clothing, housing, transportation, or equipment. They just focused on fighting. As for Suo Yang and Duan Wengzi, one is the head and the other is the elder. The top talks, the bottom talks, and the implementation of every policy is their job, and their faces look like pig liver. Promise to complete the task. Duan Wengzi immediately expressed his position. Obviously, Duan Wengzi is more successful than Suo Yang. At this moment, someone brought up the situation of the militia team. After Hua Tianxiang died, no one took care of them now. They became children whose grandma didn't care and whose uncle didn't love them. Wang Shuo looked at Bailey Liang. He was originally a swordsman and was not suitable for the cavalry fighting style. Bai Liang, are you willing to lead the militia team? Wang Shuo said lightly. Bailey Liang was already a little absent-minded, but when he heard Wang Shuo's roll call, he was startled, and then showed an ecstatic expression. Got promoted. It was a hit with the pie. I do, he replied hurriedly. I was afraid that Wang Shuo would regret it. In the cavalry squad, he had no chance to stand out at all. With Ayub and Gongzheng, the others could only follow orders. But the militia team is different. Except for listening to Wang Shuo, everything else has the final say. The recruitment of the militia team is mainly for the people of the territory. You also know that the people of the territory are all players, and the relationship is not easy to deal with. Your burden is very heavy. It is related to the stability of the territory's army, so you should not take it lightly. Do you understand? Yes, my lord, my subordinates must work hard. Bailey Liang was filled with joy, and his thoughts were racing in his mind. Then, Wang Shuo talked about tomorrow's battle with bandits. He is still not sure how many people will come to King Muzai tomorrow. No matter how many people come tomorrow, we must be fully prepared. Suo Yang, have the energy tower and arrow tower been built? Go back to your lord, everything has been built. Wang Shuo nodded and looked at Mutar. How is the construction of arrows, bronze crossbows, and catapults? Back to the lord, we have already made 100,000 arrows, and there are 2 bronze crossbows in total. The catapults are not yet completely finished, but they will be built soon. When Mutar said this, he smiled and said to Wang Shuo, Lord, you know that I only like to study weapons and equipment, and I don't like this kind of occasion, so please allow me to let my disciple Udon attend on my behalf in the future. Your meeting. Wang Shuo thought about it and realized that many researchers did not like meetings, so he understood him very well and readily agreed to his request. If there is nothing else, let's adjourn the meeting. Keep your spirits up, we will meet the bandits tomorrow. Just as everyone was leaving one after another, Wang Shuo stopped Ayub and asked him to arrange the night patrol. After returning to the bedroom, Wang Shuo studied the transcript for a while. Then, he opened the chat channel again. Soon, he saw that many players were discussing the recent attack on their village. These bandits are so damn hateful, they actually come to collect protection money. It's just that the people in my territory were robbed by a group of horse bandits. I was asked to pay 5,000 gold coins to redeem them in 3 days. I went. It's so hummed up. Who do you think you are? The village of a friend of mine rose up in resistance because he refused to pay protection fees from bandits. As a result, the village was wiped out. So cruel. Isn't there a lord who can fight against these bandits? The group suddenly fell into a long period of silence. When Wang Shuo saw this information, he tossed and turned with uneasiness. After a long time, I fell asleep. Early in the morning, Gongzheng hurried in. Lord, the bandits have arrived at the city. How many people? Wang Shuo asked nervously. There are only more than 100 people, and their strength is generally around level 20. Hearing what Gong Zheng said, Wang Shuo's heart skipped a beat, and he quickly came to the city wall to take a look. After looking at it for a while, he breathed a long sigh of relief. I saw these bandits, their military appearance was not neat, their clothes were very different, and their weapons were all kinds of strange. Exactly. Looks like a rabble. Wang Shuo could only find this word to describe it. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 149. Attack. The attack range of the bronze crossbow cart is as far as 1 kilometer, so it can naturally shoot them. 5 spears flew out and directly stabbed 3 bandits to the ground. 2 spears missed. At this time, the bandits rushed up with a roar. They were not actually unprepared. Many people were carrying flying claws. This is a rope with a hook, but with such a high wall, they became live targets during the climbing process. They were just bandits, just for money, but they didn't want to die in vain. At this time, Wang Shuo's provocative behavior aroused their bloodiness, and many impulsive bandits rushed directly to the wall. What greeted them was naturally a sweep of arrow towers. In a few breaths, the first few bandits were stabbed into hedgehogs. Others, seeing that the situation was not good, also stopped and withdrew from the attack range of the arrow tower. At this time, Ayub's cavalry arrived, and a rumbling sound of horse hooves sounded. The already messy formation of the bandits was immediately scattered. Wang Shuo was overjoyed when he saw it, and it was indeed vulnerable. Let's go down and meet them too, Wang Shuo said to Gong Zheng and others. With the cover of long-range firepower such as arrow towers, Wang Shuo was not afraid of being rushed in by bandits when he opened the city gate. Kill! A burst of shouts and killings rang out. Wang Shuo and others also joined Ayub and started a cavalry charge. This battle was a one-sided rhythm in the early stage. It was beyond Wang Shuo's expectations. He thought it would be a fierce battle, but he didn't expect that just a few rounds of charge would drive the bandits away. Don't let the opponent's generals run away. Seeing that the situation was over, all the bandits fled in panic. Teker naturally had no choice but to retreat. But Wang Shuo would never let him go. After all, he might drop a certificate of general's job transfer. Wang Shuo has been coveting the generals who have changed their jobs for a long time. Wang Shuo and his men surrounded Teker. On horseback, there was no advantage in dealing with such a powerful general. A charge might even cut off the horse's legs. So, everyone dismounted to fight. You can't escape. If you are willing to surrender, I can let you live. Wang Shuo grinned, feeling indescribably proud. It would be better if he could be captured alive. After all, the other party was a general. As long as he was controlled by the thought steel stamp scroll, he would be a real strength. Just you, beat the big knife in Grandpa's hand first. Although Tickle was surrounded, he was not panicked at all. It can be seen that he was very confident in his own strength. He was not a reckless man with strong limbs and a simple mind. Among this group of people, only the general holding the Qing longsword and the man holding the big shield could pose a threat to him. He did not take the others seriously. No need to say more, let's talk about it after the battle. Ayub took the lead in launching the attack, followed by Gong Zheng. Wang Shuo did not consider the single duel, mainly because the opponent's level and strength were not enough to defeat him. Teker's level was several levels higher than Ayub's, and his attributes were not bad, especially his attack power, which was ridiculously high. Wang Shuo, holding a spear, also joined the siege. He thrust out a spear, which was easily blocked by the opponent, but Ayub's broadsword chopped into the opponent's shoulder. After several attacks, Teker was quickly defeated. If you surrender now, I can still spare your life. Thank you for the gifts given by the book friends. The landlord Lao Ki, the arrogant Moyun Palace Master, the Supreme Palace Master Long Tians, Xiao Er At, Tu Mama who likes Mo Zhao Lian, Ning Aijin, Gu Dong who likes Yezakao, Qingfui, Li Ziohe who likes Gongtank, and the Supreme Palace Master Long Tians. Book reviews and chapter reviews will also have fan value. Thank you for the love of all book friends. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Chi Wen. Chapter 150. Tekker spat out a mouthful of blood and phlegm, his expression was cold, and his heart was even more unconvinced, and he cursed, "Grandpa, I would rather die than surrender. Even if I die, I will peel off a layer of your skin." After several rounds of attacks, his health value has reached the bottom. "Don't worry, the boss will avenge me." Wang Shuo shook his head and shot him directly. "You killed Tekker, the fourth boss of Kingmu village." Wang Shuo chose to turn off the display of ID and other information, so the display of the kill became much simpler. Pick up the items dropped on the ground. Soul Crystal add 2, Energy Crystal add 150, Falling Leaf Knife Technique add 1, Military General Transfer Certificate add 1. Seeing the fallen Military General Transfer Certificate, Wang Shuo finally smiled. This battle can be said to be a great victory, mainly because of the credit of the city wall. If the bandits rushed into the village, it would inevitably suffer some losses. Clean up the battlefield. There were only more than 30 bandits killed, and most of them ran away. In order to kill this general, Wang Shuo had to give up chasing other bandits. Wang Shuo counted all the soul crystals. The total number in the backpack surprisingly reached 170. This is the number consumed by building energy towers. In the ancient battlefield, killing bosses, especially in the village defense battle, got 120. Wang Shuo was very happy. At this time, there was a message in Wang Shuo's friend message that aroused his vigilance. This was sent back by a spy he sent out. "Lord, Feng's village has unified the nearby villages within 40 miles, and the number of people has exceeded 1,000. They plan to attack Wana village." Wang Shuo's heart tightened. The pace of expansion of Feng's village has been very rapid recently. There are even rumors that it is now the first village. Wang Shuo had to take it seriously. "Wait and see," Wang Shuo replied. "The current main task is to vigorously develop military strength. Ayub, continue to brush military merit points, we need more soldiers." He has now lowered the standard to B-level qualifications. After all, the attributes of the territory can improve the qualifications of the first-level citizens. "Yes, Lord." Then, he thought of something and said to Gilaji, "Now, find a way to investigate the situation of Kingmu village. We must destroy this bandit den." "Yes, Lord." Gilaji is an assassin. She has reached level 22 and has mastered a stealth skill of stealth. It should be no problem to spy on intelligence. At noon, Wang Shuo inspected the territory again. Suo Yang has organized people to build fish ponds and reclaim farmland. Inside the city wall, a large area of land was reclaimed. Farmers used their skills to quickly turn the soil and sow seeds, which looked very magical. Wang Shuo was stunned. After a while, a 50 square meter piece of land was sown. In the fish pond next to it, many masons were tamping the embankment, and farmers were planting saplings to protect the embankment. Soon, there will be willows hanging down and lotus flowers fragrant. Further away, there is a fence surrounding the breeding ground, and several stone houses have been built next to it so that livestock can take shelter when it rains. Wang Shuo suddenly became full of longing and looked forward to his future life. He must work hard to protect his thriving village. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Chi Wen. Chapter 151. Wang Shuo returned to the meeting room, took out the transfer certificate, and immediately clicked to use it. Are you sure you want to transfer to a general? Yes. It is detected that the player still has a large number of free attribute points that have not been allocated. Do you want to allocate them according to the general template? Yes. Wang Shuo found that all his free attributes were added to the basic attributes in a ratio of 3:3:2:2. Suddenly, he felt a warm current flowing through his body, and Wang Shuo moaned comfortably. ID, SAC 5678 Wang Shuo. Level 24. Strength, 119, 39 add 80. Constitution, 93, 43 add 50. Agility, 56, 53 add 3. Energy, 46, 45 add 1. Life skills, 1 smooth the waters, 2 make a mud pit. Qualification, B level, each level up provides 4 free attribute points. Combat attribute panel. Attack power, 100 add 119 add 6. Defense power, 200. Command value, 38. Reputation, 1850. Health, 3330. Experience, 12,000/240000. Skills, Dragon Spear Art, Level 3. Combat skills, 1 Summoning Mud Puppets, 2 Breaking Illusion Eyes, 3 Dragon Attack, 4 Flame Breath, 5 Iron Chain Binding, 6 Flame Shield, 7 Horsemanship, Level 3. Equipment, 1 Flame Spear, excellent, 2 9 Dragon's Gold Patterned AO, 3 Red Flame Armor, 4 Crocodile Leather Boots, 5 Rebound Necklace, 6 Horse Brand. And after the job transfer, various basic attributes and defense power will be increased by 20% on the original basis. Haha. An unprecedentedly powerful feeling filled Wang Shuo's heart, and he wanted to vent. The best place to vent is naturally the ancient battlefield. It's time to experience the strength of the high-level skeletons here. In the afternoon, Wang Shuo came directly to the Yellow Wind Valley camp. Old Zhao, what are you busy with? Wang Shuo saw from afar that Zhao Banged was in deep thought. Haha, just thinking about some things in the past. Wang Shuo showed an intriguing expression. It seems that old Zhao is also a man with a story. What are you doing today? I want to explore the ancient battlefield. How many places are there that I can't set foot on now? Zhao Banged looked at Wang Shuo, thought about it, and then smiled faintly. Ayub, you can already push the red area horizontally. Now only the core area with the darkest color is left. As long as you advance step by step, it shouldn't be a big problem. With the affirmation of old Zhao, Wang Shuo was instantly full of confidence. For safety reasons, Wang Shuo still asked Li Jiangguo to bring 2 bronze crossbow carts. The militia team was left to watch the house. The average level of Wang Shuo's Golden Fire Cavalry is already 22, while the militia team is lower, with an average of only 20. It seems that they need to be transferred as soon as possible. Let's go. The target core area. Wang Shuo pointed his spear, led the way, and rushed out. In the yellow area, there were low-level skeleton soldiers. At this time, Wang Shuo could ignore these low-level skeleton soldiers of only a few levels. Continuing forward, he came to the area of skeleton knights. Skeleton knights of more than 10 levels were easily knocked off by Wang Shuo without any difficulty. Further ahead, it was the area where ghosts and wronged souls wandered. From a distance, Wang Shuo saw a wandering ghost. At this moment, Wang Shuo remembered many unpleasant memories. That was when he was only a few levels, and he was chased by ghosts and had no way to go up to the sky or down to the ground. The embarrassed appearance seemed to be still vivid. Wang Shuo immediately took out the Soul Defense Talisman and the Soul Attack Talisman. It's time to avenge the previous shame. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 152. Go. Wang Shuo clamped his feet together, and the warhorse neighed and rushed towards the ghost. The flame gun blessed by the soul attack talisman pierced the ghost, and a puff of white smoke suddenly came out. The sound of squeaking continued to be heard. At the same time, the number -200 kept appearing above the ghost's head. At this time, Wang Shuo also felt the attack of the ghost. It turned out that this so-called soul defense talisman only converted the ghost's soul attack into a physical attack. After thinking about this clearly, Wang Shuo had no scruples, turned his horse's head, and attacked frantically. In less than a minute, a ghost of more than level 20 was killed. Wang Shuo noticed that at the moment of the ghost's death, a soul crystal was dropped. Wang Shuo widened his eyes and looked at Ayub in surprise. "Abu, do all ghosts drop soul crystals?" Wang Shuo asked a little nervously, wanting to get a positive answer. "Yes, Lord." Wang Shuo was ecstatic. This thing was worth 1,000 gold coins. "How many do you have?" Wang Shuo smiled. "Less than 2,000, Ayub said expressionlessly. "What? 2,000, Wang Shuo felt like he was about to faint from happiness. He was still complacent about 170 soul crystals in the morning. Now he knew that he had more than 2,000, and he couldn't calm down for a long time. "Give it to me." Wang Shuo couldn't wait to ask Ayub to take out the soul crystal worth 2 million. After a while, Wang Shuo came back to his senses. "What are you waiting for? These are all money. Attack, we must wipe out all the ghosts today," Wang Shuo shouted excitedly. A team of people swept across the Gobi Desert. A single ghost only needed one round of concentrated fire to be killed. Except for the dropped items, there was not even a trace of dregs left. Not long after, Wang Shuo encountered the first resentful soul. This is a spirit of a higher level than the ghost. Even Wang Shuo had a hard time fighting alone. Wang Shuo was not a pedantic person. If he was not absolutely sure, he would never fight alone. Even the resentful soul could not last for a minute under the attack of Wang Shuo and others. You killed a level 28 resentful soul, and your level was increased to level 25. Soul crystal at 3. The soul crystals dropped by this kind of resentful soul are very considerable. And each one provides 100 military merit points, which makes Wang Shuo feel very satisfied. But the number is much less, which makes Wang Shuo feel a little regretful. As the soul crystals continue to increase, night begins to fall. "There is no way to kill the boss today, we will come again tomorrow." After Wang Shuo finished speaking, he took everyone back to the territory. As soon as he walked to the gate of the Lord's mansion, Xiao Laoteng ran over in a hurry. "My lord! I finally found you." After a day of torture, Xiao Laoteng's spirit was worn out. He wanted to find masons to teach them how to draw runes, but they all refused on the grounds that they were too busy with work. This made him feel that he seemed to be in a dilemma. If he couldn't fulfill the agreement, he wouldn't get paid. And the fees he paid to the union every day had to be paid after he returned, which was simply roasting him on the fire. When Wang Shuo saw Xiao Laoteng, he slapped his forehead and apologized repeatedly. "Oh, Lord Architect, look at this, there are too many things to do today, and I forgot for a while. I will ask Duan Wengzi to arrange masons to come to your place to learn." After that, Wang Shuo turned and walked into the Lord's mansion.